Hello, and thank you so much for asking me to make this video. It's taken me a while, so I'm so sorry it's taken so long. And sod's law, I'm having some work done outside, so it's a little bit noisy in the background. I do apologise for that. Anyway, this is a selection of acupoints that I use when I teach my K9 acupoint massage and my level 3 acupressure massage training. And I refer to them a lot in massage and other modalities when I do seated acupressure. A lot of these points show up. So they're a cool set of points for you to enjoy and use and integrate into your practice. So we're going to start with the source points, the Yuan source points. These are really cool points because they have their own wisdom and their own intelligence, in that if qi is needed to be boosted and tonified and strengthened, they will do that. And if they need to be reduced and sedated and calmed, they will do that too. So there's 12 along the primary channels. I'm going to work with the ones that I feel come up a lot and we use a lot. Some of them, I don't necessarily use them so much, but the ones that I feel that are frequently used, I'm going to show you those. I'm going to show you the master points. Master points are great because they work with regions. And what else I was going to show you? The source points and the source points and the master points. So sorry. Okay. So yes, of course, whenever I make a video, I have my dogs barking as well. Let's kick off with a large intestine 4. So large intestine 4 is found on the second metacarpal bone, and it's midway. Often people think that large intestine 4 is here in the webbing, but it's actually not. It's on the midpoint between the first metacarpal bone here, and it's sort of like it's tucked up. So when you find it and you activate it, you're doing like a hook. You know you've got it because you're achieving like a dull ache. So in between the midpoint of this metacarpal, the second metacarpal, are sort of tucked up and under. That's large intestine 4. Now, large intestine 4 is a source point. It's also a master point. So we'll come back to that again. So it's great for headaches and migraines and any sort of facial issues. It's fantastic for that. So it's also really good for boosting qi, because we can work together with that with stomach 36 and liver 3 as a whole body strengthening and tonifying of qi in the body. Okay, so let's have a look at lung 9 now. So lung 9 is in the depression on the radial end of the wrist. So if you just make a very soft, here's the guys now, they've just come in. If you make a very soft, relaxed wrist on the radial side, which is the thumb side, in this nice depression, this is where you'll find lung 9. Okay, and then we've got pericardium 7, and it's also on the wrist crease. So we've got these lovely points that line up along the wrist crease. So if you just relax again the wrist crease here, pericardium 7 is right in between the tendons of the flexor muscle. So just in this sort of, like in the midpoint on the wrist crease here, you'll find pericardium 7. This is a good point for anxiety. Lung 9, by the way, good for respiratory conditions. And then pericardium 7 here, great for anxiety, trust and heart patterns. And then as we move over to heart 7, you'll see that heart 7 is at the ulnar end. It's actually on the radial side of this tendon here that you can feel. It's on this radial side, so you can feel the radial tendon. And then it's this radial side, so it's actually here. So this is also really good for reducing any sort of anxiety, nervousness, cardiac pain, any seizures. So that's heart 7, pericardium 7, and lung 9, large intestine 4. So there's small intestine 4 is the Yuan source point, but actually I think there's a better point for me to share with you. And can you see, if you make a soft fist, you can see this sort of line here, right at the end of that. That's actually small intestine 3. I love this point because it's brilliant for the neck and neck pain. And then on the ulnar edge of the depression at the base of the 5th metacarpal, which is here, this is small intestine 4. At the base of the 5th metacarpal bone, and that's the source point. I can feel that. Okay, so let's move on to what's next. Lung, pericardium, large intestine. Yes, Sanjiao 4, triple heater 4. So again, right on the wrist crease here, right in the midpoint, the lateral side of the front limb in the dogs. If you come sort of in between, come down in between the tendons, you can feel the bones, sorry, in between the bones, you've got the radius and ulnar bone, and you come down to the wrist crease. It's just at the end there, there's like a natural depression right in the midpoint of the wrist crease. So you can feel in between the radius and ulnar bones, and then coming down to that, let me do it here where I haven't got my bracelets. You can feel that natural depression right there. Triple heater 4. Good for shoulder pain, muscle spasms, hormonal and endocrine imbalances. Okay, so let's move on to, let's have a look at some of the positioning on the foot. Pop these down here. My dog's going bonkers in the background there. I do apologise for that. Okay, so we're going to do kidney 3. Thank you, boys. Thank you, boys. So kidney 3 is, you've got the medial. This is medially on the medial malleolus and the Achilles tendon. On the midpoint between the medial malleolus and the Achilles tendon, here is kidney 3. So really nice point for kidney energy, balancing the yin and yang. I love this point. Kidney 3 is brilliant. If you go directly on the outside, I think I always teach this as, it's called Kunlun Mountain, on exactly the same. So from the lateral malleolus to the Achilles midpoint. This is called bladder 60. This is called the aspirin point or the pain relief point. That's a really good point. Good for pain in the lower limbs. Okay, let me just go back a bit with that. Sorry about that. Okay, And then we've got liver 3, and liver 3 comes in between the big toe and the next second toe. You come through this really nice depression. There's like a nice depression, and you're just going to hit this metatarsophalangeal joint here, and then you're just going to come distal again. So there's like a point depression. There's a nice depression just here. This is liver 3. Now, liver 3 is fantastic because it really helps the smooth flow of chi throughout the body. So whenever there's any stagnation at all, you want to be working with liver 3. Now, I think all problems, all inflammatory problems, all conditions have an aspect of stagnation. So liver 3 is always a really great point to do. And I like to couple this point with large intestine 4 here, called the 4 gates, that really helps to strengthen and boost circulation and chi in the body. So large intestine 4 and liver 3 are really my go-to points a lot of the time when there's any condition of stagnation. So that's large intestine, liver 3, kidney 3, and then the spleen 6. There is spleen 3, and spleen 3 here is you just roll off of the ball of the foot there on this first metatarsal. You're just going to sort of roll in that nice depression tucked underneath the metatarsal bone there. There's a nice depression there. That's spleen 3. So liver, kidney, spleen 3. And then we've got spleen 6, which is a really super point. It's a master point. I'll come to that in a minute. They're really, I mean, we've got some more, there's bladder and spleen and gallbladder, but I very rarely use those actually as source points. Bladder 42 comes just off. So here we've got, this is bladder 41, and then we're just rolling off into this depression. There's bladder 42 in between, on the dorsum of the foot. In between 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. In between 3 and 4. Let me just make sure that's right. Just 1 second. I don't really use that bladder 24 so much. These are bladder 24. Where are we? Sorry, stomach 24. Stomach, where are you? It's not even in here, is it? Stomach 42. Yeah. I'm so sorry. So in between 3 and 4. Yeah, so I hope it's right. I have to just double check myself sometimes. If you're coming down in between 3 and 4, it's just this nice natural depression there. Often, if you feel really gently, you can feel these depressions better than poking quite hard. So I work from the talus joint, sort of coming down in between 3 and 4. There, nice. You've got a nice little depression there. Gallbladder 40 on the lateral back leg, distal to the lateral malleolus. Yeah. So you've got the lateral malleolus, and you come forward and just down. This is gallbladder 40. There's this nice big depression there. Again, I don't really use this too much. And then let's move on to the master points. Let me just find them in the manual. I'm so sorry. Let me just find these master points for us in the... Now the master points are really useful actually. These are really useful. So you've got stomach 36, and a couple of ways to find stomach 36 is if you put the heel of your hand onto the top of the patella and just lay your fingers down. The longest middle finger is in line with stomach 36 when you just come laterally. And then another way of finding it is that you find the cow's nose at the bottom of the patella, those two depressions, and you would put your pointy finger, let's find those depressions, sorry, oops, there. So I put my pointy finger on the lower patella, on that cow's nose, and then a whole hand span down is where you're going to find stomach 36, and then it's a thumb width off. So you're here, it's there. And you know when you find these points because they have like a dull ache, you're looking for that nice activation. So stomach 36 is a master point for the gastrointestinal tract. It's also a really good point for boosting chi and energy, and good for the immune system. So you really want to be stimulating that point with some soft fist tapping, do in it's called, or you can use tapping with your bamboo tapper. Spleen 6 is the master point for the urinary and gastrogenital systems. It's really good for menstruation as well, and good for bringing on labour. It's a fantastic point for that. And you're going to put your pinky, on the malleolus, on the medial malleolus, and do a whole hand span there. And then just take your thumb and work around just off the tibia. So you're coming medially off the tibia. You know you find it because it hurts. So put your pinky on the malleolus there, do a whole hand span, and then rolling off the tibia medially, you're going to find this point, spleen 6, fantastic for all menstrual issues. It's good for night sweats. It's the highest point of yin. So it's great for cooling any sort of sweats or overly yang, too much, excessive yang. This is a great cooling point. Now, bladder 40 is really good. It's the master point for the lumbar region and the lower back pain. And you find it if you can feel right behind, in between the popliteal fossa and the popliteal space, you can feel the two tendons. And right in the midpoint there, like literally right in the midpoint, let's see if I can show you that. So you're going to make this little bend, then right in the midpoint there at the back of the knee, in this popliteal space, that's called bladder 40. And bladder 40 is the master point for the lumbar region and lower back, and in dogs for any sort of hind quarters, any sort of problems there. So 1.5 sun, or about a thumb and a little bit, a thumb, like 2 fingers, 2 finger width. We're going to do, I'm going to bring you back up here to do the master point for head and neck and respiratory. So we did lung 9 here, and then if you just there's lung 9. Let me show you that on my jewellery. There's lung 9 in the crease, and then if you just put another finger down, that's lung 7. So lung 9 and lung 7. And I mean, some locations also working lung points here. But when we do the dogs, when I work on the dogs, it's nice just to sort of relax the carpus crease and then put a finger down. I find that really easy. And then for humans, it's slightly more on the posterior. So just working around these areas here. A little bit more posterior there. But with the dogs, it's really easy just to sort of relax their carpus crease and find them that way. Okay. So again, we've got large intestine 4 that we talked about. That's also a master point for the face and the mouth, good for teeth issues. And then pericardium 6 is the master point for the heart and chest and upper abdomen. And so from pericardium 7 in this nice wrist crease, you're going to put 3 fingers down actually. So 3 fingers from the wrist crease here. In between the 2 tendons, again, you're going to feel in between, there they are, there's 2 tendons there. And I'm going to put 3 fingers down in between the tendon, just about there. Amazing. This point is really good for nausea and nauseous conditions like travel sickness and morning sickness and any sort of nausea. It's great. It's also really good for anxiety and trust patterns as well. So, and as a combination, you can do heart 7, pericardium 7 and pericardium 6. It's a nice little triage of lovely points there. Okay, so I think that'll do for now. It's quite a long video this, but I hope that you've got everything clear for yourself. Yeah. Okay. So if you do have any questions, I'm going up and down because I've taken one of my shoes off. So if you do have any questions, then please do drop me a line. And like I said, these, you know, when you're learning these points, you know, the intention is really important rather than so specific. I mean, certainly when we're working on the dogs, we're working super light, like an eyeball pressure, really, really light, and to find these points. And you'll see in some of my other videos that I've sent out to for those of you working with the dogs, you'll have that video, and then interpreting it onto ourselves is quite you know, it's quite helpful to you know, make those associations. And then you can look at charts and you can read descriptions. So you can read the anatomical descriptions, and you can certainly look at many different charts. And just to sort of, you're looking for these lovely depressions, and like a gentle touch will help and be more easier to find. So enjoy having a look around, look at other resources, and if you need any help with anything, please do drop me a line at anna@theschooloffinetuning.com. And yeah, I hope this helps. Okay.